Welcome to story time, rise and shine. Welcome to story time, rise and shine. Welcome to story time, we're so glad you're here. Rise and shine. Welcome to story time, rise and shine. Welcome to story time, rise and shine. Welcome to story time, we're so glad you're here.
Hi boys and girls, we are blessed today to have one of Fort Meade's authors, and this particular author is a children's book writer. That means he has written books for children, and we are so happy to introduce to you Mr. Scott Henderson. When you see him around town, you might want to say hi to him, and we're going to hear him read 3 of his books. So enjoy today and listen carefully. And know that his books are available on Amazon if you choose to buy one. Or you can come to the library and check them out. So I present to you Mr. Scott Henderson.
Hello. This is the first book that we wrote, and it's called Grandpa Goes Hunting. And Grandpa goes on 2 different adventures, and we're starting a 3rd book called Grandpa Goes to Church. But this is the first one, so let's get into it. All right. So, Grandpa goes hunting. One morning, Grandpa went hunting. He took his gun and his orange safety vest. He always hunted in the woods behind his house that belonged to his neighbor. When he got into the woods, it became very quiet. Then a bird said, "Chirp, chirp." Grandpa just stayed focused. He didn't want to lose his chance to shoot a big deer, so he just kept walking slowly. Then the bushes started to shake, and so did Grandpa. He was scared. That's when a big bear stood up. Grandpa screamed and threw up his gun. As the bear growled, his teeth flew out into Grandpa's pocket. Grandpa ran all the way back to his house, and the bear ran all the way back to his den. Later that night, Grandpa cleaned out his pocket and found the bear's teeth. He was too scared to take them back, so he just kept them. And the bear was too scared of Grandpa, so he just kept the gun. That's the end. All right. So that was Grandpa's first adventure, and now we'll read Grandpa's second adventure. And this called Grandpa Goes Camping. Grandpa enjoys the outdoors. He likes to fish and hunt and play with his dog Charlie. One day Grandpa decided to go camping. So he packed his bag and left early the next morning. He always camped at the lake behind his house that was covered in woods. When he got to his favorite campsite, he unloaded his bag and put up his tent. Grandpa gathered some wood for the fire that he would build later that night. He put all the sticks in a pile. Before it got dark, he decided to go fishing. He sat on an old log and cast his line into the water. He hadn't been fishing long when he got a bite. The fish pulled and Grandpa pulled back. The fish fought hard, but Grandpa was too strong. Grandpa reeled in a big catfish. He caught 2 more before the sun went down. So he started his fire and he cooked the fish. Before eating, he prayed and thanked Jesus for his food. He ate, but there was too much fish. So he wrapped the rest up and put it in his tent. For the rest of the night, Grandpa relaxed by the fire. He sang some songs and looked at the stars. Later, when he got sleepy, he crawled into his tent. Grandpa wasn't asleep long when he heard something moving around outside. It snarled and growled, scratched and sniffed. Grandpa was scared. Just then, a panther reached into the tent and grabbed the fish. The only thing Grandpa could see was a big paw full of sharp claws. He was so scared, he jumped up and ripped a hole in the tent. He started pulling and tugging, but he couldn't get untangled. So Grandpa ran all the way home wearing his tent. That's the end. Now this last book is called Shoestrings and the Pumpkin Patch. And me and my wife thought and talked, and we put our nephew from Idaho as the character in this book. So his name is Justin. Again, Shoestrings in the Pumpkin Patch. Today, Justin is going to one of his favorite places in the world, the pumpkin patch. For the last 3 years, he has visited the pumpkin patch to pick out his very own pumpkin. Getting out of the car, his mom said, "Tie your shoes, Justin, or you're going to trip and fall." Justin didn't like to tie his shoes. He could never tie them tight enough. Then when his mom turns around and to talk to the farmer, Justin runs off to pick out his pumpkin. He looked and looked, but none caught his eye. "Too small," he said. "Too big," he said. "Too perfect." And then he found one just right, sitting at the top of the hill. He ran to get there first, but now in the corner of his eye, he could see another kid running toward it. But Justin is fast, and even running uphill, he knew he could be first. They see each other, so faster and faster they run. Justin is now in the lead. Surely he can't lose. Just past that scarecrow, he said to himself. Bam! He tripped and belly flopped on the ground. What else could have made him fall but, of course, his shoestrings? His shoestrings were twisted up in a pumpkin vine. When he looked up, he saw the other kid at his pumpkin. Such a perfect pumpkin, he thought. If only he would have listened to his mother. "Should have tied my shoes," said Justin. "Should have tied your shoes," mocked a voice. Justin looks around. Who said that? He wondered. "I bet his mom told him to do that too," said another voice. "Who is there?" Justin asked. He looked up, but no one was around. He would tie them next time, stated a deeper voice. Just then, Justin looks up. The scarecrow, he wondered, fearfully, or the crow? Is that a cricket up there too? Justin asked himself while looking up. Try and untie your shoestrings from the pumpkin vine, said the cricket. The more you pull, the tighter the knot gets. Calm down, Herman, said the crow. He's just a boy. Not much older than the last one, stated the scarecrow with a deep, steady voice. Justin was scared. Yeah, you guys can talk, stuttered Justin. Guys, not all of us are guys, suggested the crow. Who needs to calm down now, mocked Herman the cricket. Both of you need to calm down. Let's just help the boy, the scarecrow said as he leans down. My name is Phil. The crow's name is Naomi, and of course, Herman the cricket. We can talk, we can sing, we can even dance, exclaimed Naomi as she shook her tail feathers. Now, what's your name? Asked Phil. Justin. Justin with a Z, he proclaimed. Mama told me to tie my shoes, but I don't like tying my shoes, cried the boy. It's bigger than tying your shoes, exclaimed Herman the cricket. It's about obeying your parents. He's right, said Naomi. Obeying your parents is how we grow up to become successful adults. When I was a young crow, I didn't like to get up early, so I would sleep in. But when I finally got up to get me something to eat, there was no food to be found. Then Mama Crow would tell me, early bird gets the worm. Eventually, I learned to get up early because I didn't like being hungry. Now I tell that to my very own little crows, told Naomi. Naomi then jumped down off of Phil's shoulder. She took her beak and started pulling out the knot in the shoestrings. The knot is tight, she told Phil with a worried look in her eye. See if you can get your arm in between the knot, Phil told the cricket. Herman jumped down onto Justin's pants leg and hopped onto one shoestring. His arm slid in without a problem. He pulled out his arm and the knot became loose. Then Naomi grabbed the loose part of the shoestrings and pulled the knot out. Listen to your mother, said Phil. It's shoestrings today and tomorrow might be buttons. But your mother will always know what to do. That being said, would you take the pumpkin behind me? Phil turned to reveal the pumpkin whose vine was twisted in Justin's shoestrings. With his vine now broken, it will certainly die. Will you take it and make use of it, that it might have a purpose? Let it remind you of us and the lesson you have learned. Obeying your parents protects you and everyone else, said Phil. Just then, Phil straightened up. Naomi flew away to her own little crows, and Herman the cricket hopped off into the sunset as Justin's mother came running up the hill and scooped him into her arms. I thought I'd lost you. Why did you run away? Cried his mom. Don't worry, Mama. I won't do it again. I learned my lesson. Tie my shoes and listen to my parents. That's how we stay safe, Justin says with a smile while he carried his pumpkin away. That's the end. Thank you for listening to me read my books.
Mr. Scott, tell us a little bit how you get your ideas for writing books.
Well, I've always loved to draw. So I just sat around one day and was thinking how I can use, my desire to draw and to actually make something out of it instead of collecting a lot of drawings. And so I'd watched a couple videos online and thought maybe, I'm not as good of an artist as a lot of people, but I could do children's books. And so, I was talking to my wife and was just kind of debating. And I kept telling my wife this one phrase about shoestrings being wrapped up in a watermelon vine. We had just planted a garden and I was aggravating her about that. And just laying in bed one night at the church, we was just laying there and I was just kind of talking to her about a story and just made up a story right there. And And I said, you know what? I said, I think I want to try this. So actually, the first story ever come up was Grandpa Goes Hunting, but originally it was called Grandpa Saw a Bear. And so we started there, and I did a test trial on Create Space, which is now a KDP Kindle Direct Publishing, and that's how we got started.
So you love art? Is that where you first got your idea to start?
Definitely, yeah. I grew up drawing, loved to draw. Started drawing, off of children's books. I would just look at the book and just try to draw that picture, and I just started collecting them. I actually have the very first picture that I started collecting. I still have that. It's a picture of Eeyore from Winnie and the Pooh.
Okay. So you are both an author and an illustrator. So kids, so you are seeing one person who did everything for his book. He illustrated it and he wrote the words. So an author writes the words and an illustrator draws the what?
Pictures.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Good morning, boys and girls. Today our story is about a Halloween house and a little pumpkin. Once upon a time, there was a little pumpkin sitting on the porch of the Halloween house, watching the trick-or-treaters with their happy faces, walking up the steps to the Halloween house to get candy from the nice lady who lived inside. The pumpkin sighed and said, "I wish I had some candy. Oh well, I'll take a nap and dream about candy." So the little pumpkin took a nap, and he dreamed about candy in his dream. And all of a sudden, he was woken up by a loud noise. He looked up and saw a scarecrow standing there beside him. The scarecrow asked him, "Little pumpkin, why are you so sad?" The pumpkin replied, "I see all the children trick-or-treating, getting candy, and I never get any candy. I want some candy." The scarecrow said, "Well, tonight's your lucky night, little pumpkin. I have some candy just for you." The pumpkin was so excited. The pumpkin leaped for joy that the scarecrow had bought him some candy. The scarecrow gave the little pumpkin the candy. The scarecrow sat down beside him, and they ate candy and watched the trick-or-treaters as they went on by, and they had a good night. The end. Hi, boys and girls. You just heard a story about a pumpkin. Now we're going to do some songs and some finger plays about pumpkins. You ready? So this first one is about 5 little pumpkins. So let's get our 5 little pumpkins. You ready?
5 little pumpkins sitting on a gate. The first one said, "My, it's late." The second one said, "I hear a noise." The third one said, "It's just some boys." The fourth one said, "Come on, let's run." The fifth one said, "It's Halloween fun."
Puff went the wind, out went the lights, and the 5 little pumpkins rolled out of sight. You do it again? All right, you ready? 5 little pumpkins sitting on a gate.
The first one said,
"Oh my, it's getting late."
The second one said,
"I hear a noise."
The third one said,
"It's just some boys."
The fourth one said,
"Come on, let's run."
The fifth one said,
"It's Halloween fun." Puff went the wind, out went the lights, and all the 5 little pumpkins rolled out of sight. Good job. Okay, so the next song we're going to do is going to be Pick a Pumpkin. You ready? Pick a pumpkin from the vine, pumpkin round, pumpkin fine. Pick a pumpkin from the vine, let's pick pumpkins. Pick a pumpkin from the vine. You pick yours, I'll pick mine. Pick a pumpkin from the vine, let's pick pumpkins. Ready? And do it again. Ready?
Pick a pumpkin from the vine.
Pumpkin round, pumpkin fine.
Pick a pumpkin from the vine. Let's pick pumpkins. Pick a pumpkin from the vine.
You pick yours,
I'll pick mine. Pick a pumpkin from the vine. Let's pick pumpkins.
Good job. You want one more? Okay, so let's do Have You Ever Seen a Pumpkin? You ready? Did you ever see a pumpkin, a pumpkin, a pumpkin? Did you ever see a pumpkin with no face at all? With no eyes, no nose, no mouth, and no teeth? Let me see your teeth. Did you ever see a pumpkin with no face at all? So I made a jack-o'-lantern, jack-o'-lantern, jack-o'-lantern. So I made a jack-o'-lantern with a big funny face. Show me your funny face. With big eyes and a nose, mouth, big teeth. So I made a jack-o'-lantern with a big funny face. Right, you ready? You want to do it one more time? Okay. Did you ever see a pumpkin, a pumpkin, a pumpkin? Did you ever see a pumpkin with no face at all? With no eyes, no nose, no mouth, and no teeth. Let me see your teeth. Did you ever see a pumpkin with no face at all? So I made a jack-o'-lantern, jack-o'-lantern, jack-o'-lantern with big eyes, a big nose, big mouth, big teeth. Let me see your teeth. So I made a jack-o'-lantern with a big funny face. Make a funny face. I hope you enjoyed those songs, boys and girls. Bye.